All right, let's get to it.
Today is the 5th, and we are starting Unit 5 today. So, FYI, I love where we are solidly as our learning goes. I don't like that we're a little behind. So, I'm going to try to pick up the pace a little bit, but not at the expense of your learning. And try to find some places to maybe trim a little fat from time to time. So, this Unit 5, is all about what we call, and I'm going to write this word and then you're going to try to pronounce it. What are those? Polynomials. Very good. Just like it looks. Some people don't pronounce like poly, they say pola. So like polynomials is a common way to just let that roll off the tongue. So I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about what polynomials are. That would ruin the lesson because then we get all drudged up and where is X allowed to be and not allowed to be. And just know this, that basically almost everything you've ever done in mathematics with variables and without has involved polynomials. 5 is a polynomial. 6x is a polynomial. Negative 5x plus 2 is a polynomial. X squared plus 3x minus 2. They're all polynomials. The mission for today is basically twofold. Number one, I want you to understand something called standard form. So the first part of this lesson, and by the way, we are doing nothing difficult today. So if you're kind of waiting for the hammer to drop or whatever that expression is, like it's not going to happen. This lesson is smooth sailing. It's just, we got to take good notes today because there's a ton of new vocabulary words coming at you today. So the first vocabulary word is standard form. And a polynomial that's written in standard form is not this. So we just kind of have to rely on your spidey sense here. If I put that polynomial, by the way, it's a polynomial, it's just not in standard form. Can you kind of sniff out something that's wrong with it? Something that maybe doesn't feel right? Say again? Yeah, and I would not expect you to be able to answer. It was a terrible question. I just thought I'd throw it out there and see if anyone grabbed it. The terms are not in the right order. So what you're going to come to find out about mathematics is that the terms need to be in a very specific order. And the order is simply, it goes like this. You take the term with the highest exponent and you put that one in the front. So like in this case, the negative x squared, I'm going to put a little circle bubble thing around it for you. That is the term that is going to lead the way. So when we write something in standard form, we take the highest power term and we put it in front. And then we simply work our way down the chain. So 1 below x to the power of 2 is right over here. I'm going to put a little purple 1 on this. Do you all agree that that's like x to the power of 1?
Yes.
You can't see it, but it's there. So that term is the second most powerful. So the plus 3x is going to go in the second spot. And then what's going to go in the very back? Plus 5. That is all it means when we say write your polynomials in standard form. Very simply, put your exponents in order from biggest to smallest. So let's practice that again. Let's do like 11x to the 4th minus 6x to the 8th.
She put the 11x to the 4th in the front.
Nope. How do we decide who goes in front? It has
Who's the biggest?
highest power. It has nothing to do with the 11 and the 6.
Oh, okay.
Those are inconsequential in the context of what we're talking about. The term that will lead the way is the negative 6x to the 8th. So when we convert it to standard, the negative 6x to the 8th leads the way. And then what goes second? Plus 11x to the 4th. You got to be really good in this lesson about understanding how pluses become positive signs and how negatives become minuses. And it's all very sort of interchangeable. But that's it for standard form. Do you have any questions about that? Okay, the next two things we have to talk about are, here's your next vocabulary word, degree. And the degree of a polynomial is its highest exponent variable. So the degree of a polynomial is decided by the highest exponent variable or the highest variable that you see on an exponent. So let's do 5x minus 10x to the fourth plus 3x squared. What's the degree of this polynomial? The degree is 4. And now I'm not one just to shout out answers and then expect you to learn, but I thought maybe in this case, if I just said that maybe you'd make more sense of what degree is. Where did I get 4?
It's the highest exponent.
It's the highest exponent variable. You see it right here. Do you see that when we look at the variables, this x over here is x to the power of 1. This x over here is to the power of 2. But the grand champ of them all is x to the fourth, and he determines what we call the degree. Okay. Would we normally put this in standard form? Yes. But again, right now, this part of the lesson, I'm just trying to trim a little fat and get us through this part. So let's try that again. What is the degree? Okay, that answer came out a lot better that time, you guys. Good job. The degree is 3. How about this one?
That's 1.
Nope.
0.
It is 0. Some people, you're not going to believe this. You're going to think I'm crazy, but does that polynomial have an x on it?
No.
I could make a case that it does. Are you ready? Watch this. There. Listen, that would be weird to put that there, but I need you to understand that exponents with variables or variables with exponents of 0 are just equal to 1. And so when you don't see a variable, it's still kind of there. It's just got this ghastly phantom power of 0. So when you just see a number that does not look like it has any exponents on it, like this, it does have a degree, and the degree is 0. Got it? How about this one? The degree is 1. And again, you look at it and say, I don't see the number 1 up there, but that's your job as a student, is to understand that there's an x with a power of 1. It's one of those annoying invisible numbers, kind of like that 0 was last time. So because it's 11x to the power of 1, then we say that the degree is 1. Yes, if you don't see an exponent, it's always a 1. Okay, if we want it to be something else, then we'll put it. 2s, 3s, 4s will not be invisible. Any questions about that? Okay. The next vocabulary term, it's not really even a vocabulary. I mean, it's not fancy, but terms. And you've heard of, like terms before. So the next thing we're going to talk about is specifically the number of terms that a polynomial has. So, now, I could ask you the question, what's the degree? And by this point in the lesson, you'd all shout out 3, like, okay, we got it. The other side of this, the other perspective that we take is, how many terms does the polynomial have? You know this. How many are there? There's 3. We usually don't like address this specifically, but we've had enough experience together that we understand. I'm going to put little colored shapes around what we call the terms. That is a term. This is a term. And this is a term. So this one has 3 terms, we say. How can I, as a student, look at a polynomial and tell where one term stops and the next term starts? Mia?
Like the sun.
What specifically? What kind of signs? Very specific. A minus or a plus. That's how terms start and stop. That's how you know one term is ended and the next term is about to start, is because you see a verb like plus or minus. Times and divide do not break terms. Only plus and minus do. So this is a 3-term polynomial. How many terms does this have? It has 1 term. Very good. You guys didn't fall for it thinking that it has like 2 parts. I get that there's an 11 if there's an x squared, but they're attached by times. If I wanted them to be separate terms, I'd have slapped a plus or a minus in the middle. Why did I put 1 terms? God, let's get rid of that. There we go. Holy English, Batman. Do you at this point, before we now get to the end of the lecture and actually do examples, do you have any question about standard form, the degree, or the number of terms? Good. So here comes the most vocabulary heavy part of the notes. So what I'm going to do is we're going to break our classification. The rest of this lesson is dedicated to classifying polynomials. That means to like give them names, categories. And the first way we classify a polynomial is by its degree. And now that you know what degree means, we shouldn't have to talk about that. And I'm going to give you some words. And if you already know these, you're welcome to guess along with me. But the first type of polynomial is a polynomial that has a degree of 0. Would anyone like to guess what that is called?
Number?
Nope. I mean, kind of. I think I like it. It's not technically correct, but yes. If it has a degree of 0, you're not going to see any variables. And if something has no variables, we say it remains.
The same.
There's a name for that in math.
Oh,
Constant. Something with no variables is called a constant in mathematics. If you see the highest variable exponent is a 1. You've seen this word in my class about 1,000 times this year. You just don't know it. Next part of the lesson. Linear.
Linear.
So if you see a polynomial whose degree is 1, you will refer to him as a linear. 2, you would not guess in a million years because it doesn't really make any sense, even to an old guy like me. It's called a quadratic. If you plan to continue, I know, don't want to talk about it. Hold on. If you plan on taking any more math classes, you're going to see and use that word quite literally thousands and thousands of times. A lot of what we do in high school math and beyond even is dedicated to quadratics. Okay. So get used to that word. 3. Want to take a shot? It's called a cubic. Good job, Mia. That was, you were pretty darn close there. A third degree polynomial is called a cubic. Anyone want to take a shot at a fourth? See, that's where I feel like quadratic ought to go. But get yourself on the onto Google tonight, and look up the difference. I use this example. In a football game, there are 4 of these quarters. In a dollar, there are 4 of these. In a gallon, there are 4 of these. We call this a quartic. 5. It's called a quintic.
A quint? A
Quintic. Quintuplets, of course. Listen, there's nothing to quote unquote understand about what I just put on the board. This is vocabulary. You do a lot of this in other classes like science, where you just here's a thing, this is what it's called, or this is just rote memorization. So 0 constant, 1 linear, 2 quadratic, 3 cubic, 4 quartic, 5 quintic. Now here's some good news for you. We could go forever. Math people have decided that since these are the most common types of polynomials, that after 5, we no longer respect it by giving it a name. After 5, we just call it like 6th degree. Are there names? Of course there are. 6 is a sextic. 7 is a heptic. 8 is an octic. 9 is a nonic. 10 is I believe a decic. 11 is an undecic, and so on and so forth. But math people just agree. After 5, let's just say, call it 6th degree, 10th degree, 8th degree, whatever you want. Clear? So you are responsible for the vocabulary for degrees 0 through 5. Beyond that, you will just get the easy out. Now, on the other side of things, we also classify polynomials not by their degrees, but also by their number of terms. And the good news here is there's less of these. So with the degrees, you've got to memorize 6 things. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With number of terms, you only have to memorize 3. If a polynomial has 1, by the way, it can't have 0. It wouldn't exist. But if it has 1, what's it called? A monomial. Some people say I can't say that word. It just takes practice. Monomial. Monomial. Monomial, monomial, monomial. Just say it a few times, it rolls right off the tongue. If a polynomial has two terms,
A polynomial.
you ride on this. It doesn't have a motor. It's got like pedals and it's got two wheels. Ooh, a bicycle. So this is a binomial
Oh, it's binomial.
because it's got two. Three
It's
is a
binomial.
trinomial. And after this, I'm going to draw the line like I did on the last one. This is where we sort of lose interest, like, hey, squirrel, and we just move on. If it's got four or more, we just end our statement with this. Notice the quotes with four terms. If it had like ... if it had like 10 terms, I wouldn't call it some fancy name. I would just say it's a blah, blah, blah with 10 terms.
Oh, well,
so
yeah, that's kind of weird.
That is a lot of vocabulary. What we're going to do now is we're going to spend a few minutes together and you're going to show me that you understand all the terminology that we just learned. This should take 5 minutes and then it's time to do some work. Here we go. I'm going to put a polynomial up here on the board. You're going to copy it into your notes. Job 1. You are going to help me put it in standard form. This will always be an expectation. I give you a polynomial. If it's all messed up like this, you fix it. So which term will lead the way? 3x squared minus 4x. Now that is good. That is now in standard form. And now we're going to classify this. I think of it like this. You reach one hand into one bag that has the terms constant, linear, quadratic, cubic, quartic, quintic, whatever. And then you reach another hand into a bag that has the terms monomial, binomial, trinomial. And you take one out, put them together, classify. So what would this one be called?
It's a trinomial.
A linear trinomial.
It is not a linear. Its degree is 2, so it is a quadratic.
Nomial.
How many terms does it have? 1, 2,
3, so it's
3. This is a quadratic
trinomial.
trinomial.
Yeah, well,
And listen, I'm sorry if you disagree with this. It's okay in your day-to-day life if you want to go through life as a quote unquote bad speller, but I think I'm well within my rights to hold you accountable for spelling when the words are being presented to you spelled correctly. So I don't want to have misspellings and have you go all hooked on phonics on me. Got it? Let's go again.
Okay.
Job 1, put it in standard form. What do we do?
Oh, it is.
Of course it already is. All monomials are in standard form. Now that it is, let's classify it.
Well,
It is a quartic. And it's only got
monomial.
one term.
So it's a monomial.
Quartic monomial. Very good.
I did things.
I'm going to scroll this far. Okay. Our next one is negative 10x plus x to the third. Standard form. Good. So we have fixed it. And I'm going to stop switching colors now because it's getting annoying. So here it goes. What's the classification by degree? It is a cubic because its highest power is 3.
Cubic.
And it's got 2 terms. So it is a
binomial.
Binomial. All right. Here comes a bit of a dumpster fire. Get your hands warmed up. Ready?
Oh no.
10 minus 4x squared plus 3x plus 8x to the third. There's a dumpster fire.
That is a okay. So
Job 1, let's fix it.
8x.
So 8x to the third
8x
says
to the third.
I'll lead the way. Minus 4x squared says I got dibs on next.
Well,
Plus 3x says I got some x's, not as much as you guys. And then plus 10 takes up the ending. So there's our beautiful standard form. And now we classify. First things first, look at Tessa using her resources. That's exactly why we take notes, is so we can keep looking at our resources until we don't need them someday. So number one thing to consider, its highest power is 3, so we're going to call it a cubic.
Goodness. Cubic.
Degree has nothing to do with meal, like mono by. That's something else.
Sorry, my bad.
You're fine. The degree is 3 cubic. How many terms does it have? So what do we say? So we say cubic with 4 terms.
Well, okay.
Because after 3, we just go, nah, I'm out. If you wanted to go home tonight and get on like Google or Wikipedia or some math website, you will find there are names for 4-term polynomials and 5 terms and all that. They feel free, research away, share with us if you want or don't. But they're out there. We draw the line where we did in the notes. Next one.
2.
Bless you.
Thank you. Yes, negative
Step 1.
14.
It's not already in standard form. These two have to get switcheroo-skied, right? So negative 14, x to the 6 says I'm the strongest. Plus 2x says I've got next, I guess, minus 1. So what do we call it? 6th degree trinomial. Telling you it's like a grab bag. Like if I scroll back up in the notes, you're literally reaching a hand into this bag and pulling out a term. And then you reach your other hand into this bag and pull out a descriptive term. And then you take a purple one with a red one, and boom, that's just what we keep doing. You'll never have 2 from the same bag. Take 1 of each, and that's all we're doing here. I got a couple more for you, okay? And then we're almost done.
I'm having a great time, by the way. This is fun.
Yay!
2x.
Step 1, standard form. It already is. Love it when that happens.
Right.
Classify.
It's a
Linear,
by
because it's got x to the 1. Binomial, because it's got 2 terms.
binomial.
How about this one? $485,123 and 4/9, or 0.4 repeat. It is called a constant because it doesn't have any variables, and it's only got 1 term. So it is a constant monomial. Every number you've ever worked with since you first learned what a number was has been a constant monomial.
What's the number again?
485,123 and 4/9.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look, I'm out of board, and conveniently, this is the last problem. Yay! Hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this one in standard form for you. This one's on the house.
Oh,
you're
thanks,
welcome.
Man.
You don't have to say thanks, but you're welcome anyways. The reason this example made it onto my note card this morning is because I wanted to make sure you understand that you've seen examples so far of when you don't really have a fancy nerd word from one of the lists. Guess what? Sometimes you won't have a fancy nerd word from any list because this thing goes past the barrier for degree and it goes past the barrier for number of terms. So we honestly just kind of chicken out on this one and just go basic. Classify it. Yeah. It is a 10th degree with
5 terms.
Correct. So I just wanted to make sure you got eyes on a problem where you honestly never even get to use a fancy nerd word. If you look it up online, it's probably like a decic quinomial or something like that. I don't even know. I'd have to look it up. I think 10 is decic. But like I said, after 5, we don't care. After 3 terms, we don't care. So that's what we would call it. Do you have any questions? Because I have a worksheet. You probably won't get it done because you only have like 7 or 8 minutes, but we're going to make a good dent in it today. Okay.
Okay.
Mr.